10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well. How are you all doing? I'm back after a few days in the sun. I'll be honest. It was really quite nice. Did you miss me? I'm sure you didn't miss me. But we're here to talk about Erik Ten Hag. You'll see that I've done a couple of videos when I was out there. Obviously, couldn't do the live videos. I've missed you guys this morning. Honestly, I do miss you. I do miss the community. I do miss the conversations we have every day. And I'm back. So let's talk about it, just before I left was the news from ESPN. Maybe we'd all jumped on it a little bit too early. I kind of admitted that. I felt like you could trust Mark Ogden and Rob Dawson, but maybe they jumped the gun a little bit. But everything that's happened since, I tell you what, kind of makes you think that no, not really. It's just that they were first to it. It might not be official, but that's what we're here to talk about this morning. We're going to speak about, can we expect, as Manchester United fans, an official announcement on Erik Ten Hag this week? We're going to speak about that. We're going to speak about the KNVB Dutch Cup final that's happening on Sunday evening between, of course, Ajax and PSV, the two teams going for the Eredivisie title as well. We're going to be speaking about Robin van Persie. We're going to be speaking about the narrative that's going on with Ten Hag, the stories that we know. I spoke in my video yesterday that wasn't the live video. I spoke about David Ornstein's update that came from yesterday. Jason Burt's update from the Telegraph. There's not really significant updates in that sense from the established journalists, but there's still plenty to really discuss and talk about this morning. So good morning to you. How are you all doing? Let me see who's in the comments. We've got Aya watching on Facebook. We've got Steve watching from Nigeria on Facebook. Good morning to you. What members have we got? We've got Chris. We've got Pushpinder. We've got Paula. Who else we got? I'm sure there's plenty more of you. Anaj, good to see you this morning. Reggio. Danny Lyon, good to see you this morning as well. And plenty of you down in the comments. I'm sure there's plenty I've missed as well. I apologize. There's too many comments flying in. Al Williams as well. Hey, look, as I said, it was nice to get a couple of days away in the sun. Breaks are good. If you can get the opportunity to have a break, take it. It's the first bit of sunshine I've had outside of England and the rare bit of sunshine you get for a couple of years because of COVID. It's just the way the world worked, hey? But it was really nice. Really enjoyed it. But I'm happy to be back. And I was pretty excited when we had the live stream last week on the Ten Hag situation. Fingers crossed the internet holds up today. By the way, we're T-minus 8 days until the new internet comes in, so hopefully the internet problems will be a thing of the past. But Ten Hag, right? So before I left, the ESPN story was the big breaking story that happened, and it got everybody extremely excited. How are you feeling about this whole situation now that's going on with Ten Hag, with Manchester United? What's your opinions of it? Is there still part of you that's saying, you know what, Sam, I'm still worried that United aren't going to go for, or after all of this, that United won't be getting Ten Hag in, that United will be getting Pochettino in? In my opinion, and maybe I'm naive to say this, not pessimistic, complete opposite. I think Ten Hag's done, man. It's gone too far in the coverage of it. And as I said, I was going to mention this a little bit later on, but I suppose I'll mention this today, right now, before we get into it. As I said, that the narrative that we're seeing now in the press has switched a bit from what we saw from when it was breaking with ESPN from Rob Dawson and from Mark Ogden. And it was covered by David Ornstein. It was covered by Jason Burt. It was covered by James Duck. It was covered by all the journalists that we, sit here and go, yeah, cool, I'm listening to what you're saying. David Ornstein as well. What you're seeing now in the press, this is on Sky Sports, right? Erik Ten Hag to Manchester United, his coaching journey from Twente to Ajax via Go Ahead Eagles. It's explained in detail. We go over to the BBC and we see Marcel van der Kraan, who I really need to get on the channel, by the way. I need to find out. I'm trying to slide into his DMs on LinkedIn, try and get him on. He seems to be leading the stories from Holland in the same way that Mike Verwij does from the Telegraph, Marcel van der Kraan. So I need to try and get him on. He's done a bit for the BBC on what can Manchester United expect. They've used the word if, of course. Little caveat there from BBC. But as I said, it's just a bit. And then you go over here, you see on the Times, you see Erik Ten Hag's a genuine person. You're willing to go through fire for somebody like him. The narrative has sort of changed a little bit from updates on if it's going to happen and X, Y, Z to almost, as I said, it feels like a bit of an acceptance that it will be happening. And it switched from if it will happen to a case of when which of course is the big point. So as I said, there's not much to discuss in terms of an update from a journalist that we trust, but there's still updates to discuss. As I said, so this one's from James Ducker. This is an article he wrote last night. He said, it is thought that Manchester United remain confident of concluding a deal for the Dutchman and are continuing to work through the final details. An announcement is not expected before the Dutch Cup final against PSV Eindhoven on Sunday, with United determined to be respectful of Ajax and not disrupt their pursuit of a League and Cup double. And go on to say that United enjoy good relations with Ajax and Van der Sar. And it goes to this point here. So on Sunday, which I'm sure plenty of you will be watching, I know I'll be watching, PSV take on Ajax in the Cup final, 5 p.m. I don't know whether that's local time or UK time. But after that, let me know. You type yes or no in, right? Regardless of what happens, whether Ajax lose that final or whether Ajax win that final, doesn't really matter. Do you think there'll be an announcement later in the evening or on Monday within 24 hours of that Cup final? Type yes or no in the comments. Do you think there'll be an announcement about Erik Ten Hag? You let me know what you think. Let me go up here as a super chat someone sent in. Sigmund, how you doing, buddy? You're saying, good morning, mate. Great show as always. Question for you. What if Ten Hag is just an excuse to rely on youth, full spirit of 92 and under-invest? Of course, you can take a pessimistic view of every manager, Sigmund. I don't think it's at all an excuse to rely on youth. He's never been a manager to just rely on youth for no reason. You know, looking at Justin Timber coming in, Jurrien Timber, sorry, not Justin Timber. I like Justin Timber though. Good guy. Justified, great album. Jurrien Timber, who came through to replace De Ligt, who was from the academy. Like, Ajax don't just use academy players for the sake of it. Ajax are extremely astute at bringing them through and actually them being top quality players too. I don't think he'll be an easy win for the Glazers. As you saw in my video yesterday, right? I went into quite a bit of depth in terms of how excited I am at the idea that Erik Ten Hag has got a fucking long list of demands that he will want Manchester United to agree with in terms in a contract before he signs it. Smart move from him. And I think I might do a video later today on Gary Neville's comments, because he in the latest Gary Neville podcast he didn't warn Erik Ten Hag, but he said, look, every manager's got to be careful. Any player's got to be careful. Coming to Manchester United, it's been a graveyard for reputations. And he's not wrong when he says it. So I like doing those reaction videos where I take a look at what the big pundits say, and we can dissect it, because we have to be allowed an opinion on it, right? Thanks for the super chat, though, Sigmund. Anyway, down to the comments. Do you think there'll be an announcement within 24 hours of that game on Sunday? Alex, you think so, and you don't. Stephen, you think so? No. I'll tell you what, big old split down in the comments here. There are so many comments in. I can't put them all up on screen. I promise I'm not ignoring all of you. But there really is a big, big split. I'm not sure. I like to think so, because past that cup final, obviously at the weekend, Ajax won 2-1. I believe they came from 1-0 down at halftime. I think it was against Sparta Rotterdam. 1-2-1. PSV breezed to a 2-0 easy victory. So the lead is still 4 points, and I think there's now 5 games to go in the Eredivisie. I don't really see how after Sunday anything really changes. Until the end of the season, of course. Until it's mathematically impossible for PSV and the Ajax are crowned champions. I like to think that there will be one done within 24 hours of that cup final. It makes perfect sense that Manchester United are delaying everything, and it will be announced after that. If it's not announced within 24, 48 hours after that, then I suppose we can probably just expect that it probably won't be announced until Ajax win or lose the title. I just like to think that Manchester United will. Now, look, I did my video yesterday. Really glad I did that video because of the timing of me going away. That so much had happened in the 3 days since. So much had been said from so many different journalists that we all trust and know, and so many different stories. It was kind of hard to keep your head on, get your head around it, and keep on top of it. That's why I did that video yesterday morning. As I said in the video, it was sort of an information-packed video, a sort of video designed to help you understand. So I hope you did. I hope it did as well. And this idea that Ten Hag is, as I said in that video, Ten Hag with this list of sporting demands. Some people might, from the outside looking in, go, "Well, why is the manager asking so much? He's asking too much." He's not asking too much. He's probably not asking enough. And the fact of the matter is, he probably shouldn't have to ask like 75% of the things he's asking. If he was linked with Liverpool or City, probably Chelsea as well, maybe not Chelsea so much, he wouldn't have to, because those foundations would be established inside that club already. What he's asking for is what should already exist at Manchester United. You know, that sporting setup, sporting director, so he can focus on coaching, focus on, actually, you know what, being a football manager, and a long list of things. You know, we've heard, I think even under Moyes, with this idea that Manchester United managers have always had a veto on transfers. I don't know whether Louis van Gaal had that, because I'll be honest, I don't think Louis van Gaal would have got Angel Di Maria. But I'm excited about that idea that Erik Ten Hag's just got a long old list of demands, because it's the sort of pressure that we want to be as fans. If we were to put I guarantee it, if that, I know it won't be hypothetical, if that list was leaked of what Ten Hag's demands are, I guarantee you a lot of them match up with what Manchester United fans' demands of the club would be, in terms of modernising, in terms of taking us towards Liverpool and City. So it's almost like Ten Hag is a United fan, but he's not. But he wants what is best for the club to be in a position that he can come in. Otherwise, his reputation is going to go in the bin. He doesn't want his reputation to go in the bin. He wants his next move post Ajax to be that, as I said, that huge stepping stone where, I've told you this, and I've said this quite a lot. Ten Hag is not going to be remembered for his time at Ajax. Ten Hag's going to be remembered for what comes next. And if that's an absolute clusterfuck at United, he won't want that. That's why this list of demands is good, and that's why he wants it down in paper. And I think he's smart to do that as well. Ankit is saying, give him all the power, but the only question is, why are we giving 5 years? Do we need 20 players? Because football works cycles, right? We all know football works in cycles. Fergie said it. Everybody knows it. Liverpool's cycle was significantly longer because they went through a lot of cycles, and they failed to build on that. What City have done from 2008, it took them a while, obviously, 2012, sorry. Took them 4 years cycle. They've managed to maintain this cycle. They've managed to stay there at the very top. Chelsea have come up, snuck in. Liverpool have done it as well. But City, they've avoided that with their extreme investment, especially in Guardiola. United know, it's not to say that we can't expect anything within 5 years, but it's the concept of, if you can't work towards 1 to 2 to 3 year plans and start again. And that's what United have been doing, that churning pattern of the mini cycles, of the false dawns, of a point in time where you're thinking, you know what, I can feel the shift in direction, and it's just a false dawn and you fall off the cliff again. That's what United have done. That's why the idea of 5 years is necessary. It's completely necessary. Chris, what are you saying down here, buddy? Saying Ten Hag could use a head start to plan out everything even before the season ends. He needs this, and it makes no sense to delay and prevent him the head start, given there is nothing else to play for. As I said, the only reason, if PSV were already champions or Ajax were already champions, I'm pretty damn confident that there would already be a Ten Hag announcement. PSV's manager has already announced he's leaving at the end of the season. That was kind of known a little bit early. That was announced in February. They're in a title push. Van Nistelrooy has already announced as a new PSV manager coming in. That's already announced. They just knew it a bit ahead of time. Ajax have always known that Ten Hag's probably likely to leave this summer, and it's going to happen. Absolutely stand by it now. If it's not to Manchester United, I'm going to be incredibly surprised. But he's leaving Ajax. He's absolutely leaving Ajax. Kasana saying, the way you were diehard of Ralf Rangnick thought he could change anything. I stand by the fact that Ralf Rangnick was A, the correct appointment, and B, has been good for Manchester United. And I personally refuse to hear otherwise. As I said, Rangnick, not that I'm like blinded by my own opinion, but Ralf Rangnick, within one game, within one training session, those players were playing properly. One training session. What happened? The fitness wasn't there. The application wasn't there. And the fact of the matter is, if those players, right, and I know our season's been shit, right? Again, it's been one of those years where no one's going to look back at the 2021-22 season and go, And that was a great campaign. There's going to be memories, individual memories, of course, but it wasn't a good season. It hasn't been for a long time. But after that one game, he got us playing in that system and realised past that point, they can't do it. And all United needed to do in these last 2 games against Leicester and Everton was put in some actual application, a bit of performance. As I said, Everton was so bad, so humiliatingly bad in that first 20, 25 minutes. We should have been 1-2, 3-0 up by half time. A game should have been dead and buried and out of Everton's hands. Instead, we allowed them into the game. That's what I'm saying. If there was any sort of application from these United players in those 2 games, we'd probably be well in for the top 4 race. I think ultimately we would fall a little bit short. The way Spurs are playing, their front 3 looks great at the moment. Son, Kane, and is it Kulilevsky? Can never say his name. They look very good right now. It seems to be working under Conte. Fair play to them. Doesn't change my opinion that I think Conte would have been a wrong decision for United. That United aren't in a position where someone like Conte can come in and be successful. Our club is too much of a mess. There is too much mud behind the scenes for someone like Conte to come in, who is a short-term manager and no doubt is a very elite level manager. But it just wouldn't have worked at Manchester United, right? It never would have worked at United. And genuinely, anybody who's arguing, I just think you're completely and utterly wrong. All right? Look, it's worked at Spurs. It doesn't mean it wouldn't work to Manchester United. Sebastian saying, I agree, Sam. The current crop of players are to blame. And Adam, you're saying Ten Hag's got a massive job in his hands with so many players that are not fit to wear the shirt. A massive clear out, isn't it? I wish that I could say to you in the comments there, oh man, you're over exaggerating. You know, United aren't that bad. We don't need a full rebuild. But as I've said in a couple of videos post the Everton game, during the Everton review as well, I was like, there are so few players inside this squad. If I was in a pub and I was having a conversation about football and I had a Liverpool fan or a City fan getting in my face and trying to say that the squad is shit, there's so few players that I would get into an argument with to defend. Genuinely. I've said it that the Sancho is one that jumps to mind straight away. Don't know, Rafael Varane. Fred, I would definitely defend Fred. But there's so few players inside this squad that you feel that you would argue to support because of what you continue to see on the pitch. You're like, well, if you really don't want to support the club and give your all and apply yourselves, then why should I give a crap as a fan what you do in the future? That's what we think. Danny, you're saying, Sam, when Ten Hag comes in, my opinion is to get rid of the players that are affecting the dressing room and club, as we should be a top 4 club, and we need that desire and flair and dedication. We should not be a top 4 club, Danny. We should be competing for the Premier League. David De Gea, of course, yeah, you would defend David De Gea, but I will stand firm right now on the fact that David De Gea should not be our goalkeeper in the next 2 seasons or so. He just isn't that sort of goalkeeper, all right? He's an incredible shot stopper, and I'm not throwing De Gea under the bus, but someone's mentioned him, so I'm saying my opinion on him. He's great, and what he's done for United, I tell you what, he's been like the Thames barrier for us. If De Gea hadn't have been here for the last 7 or 8 years, Jesus, where would we have fallen to? He's been the flood barrier. He stopped it getting worse. But if we're looking at going forward as a football club, then we need someone like Ederson in between the sticks, and Ten Hag will really want that as well. The goalkeeper is somebody who really needs to play with possession out from the back. De Gea is an incredible first class, one of the best in the world at shot stopping. Simply put, his game is not rounded enough to take Manchester United to be the football team we want to be. And it's not harsh to say that. It's just a reality and an assessment of his characteristics as a goalkeeper. All right? There's nothing else to say on that matter. And it's not an argument to get into. It really isn't. It's obvious. Everybody's seen that. His distribution, simply put, is not good enough. All right. Neil, as I said, I'm going to read plenty of comments out this morning. I haven't been here for a few days, so I'll try and interact as much as possible. And as I said, there is no preference as to whether I read a comment out from Facebook or a comment out from YouTube, apart from the members. As part of being a member of the channel, I do give you priority. Getting your comments read out. It's always the case. But Neil, what are you saying here on Facebook? Sam, why are some of the younger players not getting a go when a lot of the seniors don't care? Hannibal and Garnacho, at least should be given a go. Fred comes off and he puts Pogba on, who doesn't give a shit. Now, Neil, that I personally think is a bit of a delicate situation, because on the one hand, I absolutely agree with you that these younger players should be. So if these senior players don't give a crap, then at least blood the youngsters and give them some chances. Yes, you're right on that sense. But on the other hand, there's part of me that pulls that back and says, hold on. Youngsters should be put into teams in the right scenarios, under the right conditions to allow them to succeed. If you put these youngsters inside this pressure boiler situation where the fans are starting to sort of not boo the players, but fans are starting to show a lot of discontent, then those younger players are going to get dragged down into that. They're going to be coming and playing in the wrong sort of pressure situations. It should be a case where, I don't know, whether it's like James Wilson, just jumped to my head straight away. James Wilson, when Ryan Giggs was a caretaker manager, James Wilson came on Old Trafford last game of the season. I think he banged in 2. Perfect situation for him to come in. Lovely. Obviously didn't work out, of course. But throwing Alejandro Garnacho, he's only played like 2 games for the under-23s. He might have played for the Argentina, trained with the Argentina senior team, but he's still coming through. Hannibal's somebody I do think absolutely should be given the chance. Hannibal has played 2 senior international tournaments with Tunisia, the Arab Cup and the African Cup of Nations, and he's going to be going to the World Cup as well with Tunisia in November. He's young, but he should be somebody who comes through, right? Absolutely. But yeah, I don't think it's just a case of getting rid of all the senior players and just chucking in the youngsters just because the senior players don't care. I think that can conversely not help some of those players. That's what I think anyway. I'd rather keep David than Ronaldo, says Jack. Look, the Ronaldo conversation is definitely something we're going to have further down the line. As I said, I'm not here shouting, get rid of De Gea. Dean Henderson's a goalkeeper who's 10 times better. It's not the case. But I'm just, in my opinion, I'm taking a view into what Manchester United hopefully will become in a couple of years' time under Erik Ten Hag. And I don't see David De Gea being part of that. All right. Just my opinion. And you're saying down there about Hannibal's major attitude issues. I wouldn't say it's major attitude issues at all, man. Like he's got a bit of a hot head on him. Yeah, for sure. He's got a hot head on him, but the guy's good. The guy's mature. You're talking about attitude issues. To use the word major is a bit unfair. And he's been to 2 international tournaments with Tunisia now. He's matured quite a lot, significantly over the last 6 to 8 months. So I wouldn't use necessarily. There was a situation where he got like a stupid two stupid yellow cards when he was playing for the under-23s. Started waving his hand at the ref. Hey, some players have that. Some players still have that. Bruno Fernandes still has something like that. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Look, let's go on to the next bit of news. And we've not had this discussion yet on United People's TV. And I will do more in-depth videos on the situation. But Robin van Persie, of course, that photo there, that's one of my favorite photos in recent years of Manchester United, is that one. Recent years, Jesus Christ, Sam. How many years ago? A long time ago. But when Van Persie came to win the Premier League. We lost the league on goal difference. What happens? He bangs in like, what was it, 25 goals or whatever it was. Manchester United win the Premier League. It was an incredible signing. I remember that. But Robin van Persie, what's your opinion on the idea that he could come in as assistant manager to Erik Ten Hag? Note here, when I'm saying assistant manager, absolutely I expect more than one assistant to come in. I really do expect Mitchell van der Gaag to come from Ajax with Erik Ten Hag. And I personally think, out of any person who's linked to Manchester United, whether that's Van Persie, Meulenstein, Steve McLaren, your opinions on all of them, Mitchell van der Gaag is the most important one. He's currently his assistant at Ajax. He knows how Ten Hag works. He's the person who's going to come in and make the biggest difference. So as long as Mitchell van der Gaag comes in, I don't particularly mind who comes in with him. And that's where you get into the conversations. We had conversations about Ruud. By the way, I'm keeping Ruud on the wall. I know Ruud's gone PSV, so maybe when Ten Hag comes in, he'll be a bit of a rival, considering he's going to be going up against his former club. But I'm keeping that sweet Dutch energy on the wall. Let me go down here and see what you think. Oh, look at that. Just got a notification that Van Gaal's treatment was a success. Congrats to Louis. Obviously, Louis Van Gaal, we heard last week when he announced that he had been undergoing treatment for prostate cancer. I did see that hopefully that radiation's gone okay. And big up to Louis, man. As I said, Louis van Gaal played the most boring football we've ever seen. Not ever seen in Manchester United, but the most boring football post Fergie. But what a character! I'd love to go out and have a few drinks with Louis. He's full of charisma and he's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. See what else Dane's saying. That Klein, you're saying is a great choice. Would Ten Hag bring in Ajax's goalkeeper? No, Onana. I believe he's going to AC. I don't know where he's going. He's been a free agent for a while. There's actually huge problems between Ajax fans and Onana because he doesn't really care for the club anymore. Keeps making mistakes. RVP, vestige of our glory days. It was the glory season, wasn't it? But look, if we look into a little bit more detail into this situation. By the way, how good is this edit? Oh, that is fire. If that doesn't deserve a like on the video, I don't know what will. Come on, people, drop a like on the video. As I said, I love you guys, but everyone seems really stingy with liking the video on United People's TV, and I have no idea why. Look at that. Van Persie and Ten Hag in the... Oh, jeez. Fire. Got a new editor on to help with Instagram and socials, and I tell you what, he is talented. Very nice. So I like that one. And that puts a smile on my face. Would it technically be the right thing for Manchester United? It's where we kind of like, if we're looking like for the last few years, we've been sort of sucked into it, haven't we? The old boys club, we call it. Michael Carrick, Nicky Butt, Kieran McKenna doesn't really count. Mike Phelan. Now we're talking about Renan Meulenstein. We're talking about Steve McLaren. It's because the idea of bringing someone into Manchester United that has experience of Manchester United, that has experience of being in the club, and that has experience of the Premier League is a good thing. It's a logical step. It makes perfect sense. It's just that, and in my opinion, I think I've said this quite a lot. I've said I thought Mike Phelan coming to United at the start of Solskjaer was a very good choice and also a significant reason as to why those early stages were quite successful for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think Mike Phelan was a really good pillar for him to lean on. It's just that when it came to the point of, okay, that first stage is out of the way, now we need to take the next step up. I don't think that Mike Phelan was the right person to have in that situation. That's when I think he got a bit exposed. But Robin van Persie, like, if you look at what Robin van Persie is doing right now, he's currently at Feyenoord's youth team as the assistant manager, managing the under-16s. Now, he's moved through being a forward coach to a technical coach to an assistant manager with the Feyenoord youth team. And as I said, he's starting to do his coaching badges. He's not done them yet. I think the Manny Vidic has already got all of his, isn't it? Did you see that interview he did with Andy Mitten? That was great. I enjoyed that. Love to get Vidic back as a defensive coach. Imagine that. Woohoo! But his boy, Shaquille Van Persie, by the way, is a hell of a name. It's such a wicked name. He's in the under-16s team, so that's why there's a little bit of a family link. So not necessarily, it's not simply a case of him moving. It's dead simple. Maybe he'll bring his son into the under-18s team at Manchester United. I'm not sure. I tell you what, our academy team at the moment, as I said, for the last few years, we've been talking about failures at Manchester United. I've never done a video on this, and maybe I should really. There's been a lot of failures at Manchester United since Fergie retired. But our academy in the last 4 to 5 years or so, it's done a lot of good. And the players coming through now seem to be a much higher level than the players that were coming through a few years ago. So that's why the idea of Garnacho, people are getting excited. The idea of Charlie McNeil, who he signed from City, people are getting excited. Zidane Iqbal, who's now made his debut for Iraq, being a teenager, everyone's getting excited. The players who are coming through now, there's a real good crop. You've got Fernandez as the left back. There's Norwegian, I can't remember his name. Yeah, Hansen, I think it's Hansen. It's good. I like it. Matthew saying, always like the video. Come on, people, support the best channel. I appreciate that, man. As I said, I do really love the community that we're building here. I'm looking forward to what's coming next. And I tell you, like, we've had Moyes and we've had Van Gaal, we've had Mourinho, and we've had Solskjaer. And there's been ups and there's been downs. But when look, it might come back to haunt me, but I'm at this moment in time, I'm saying when Erik Ten Hag is announced as Manchester United manager, rather than if. It's gone way past that point. In my opinion, it's gone way past that point. As I said, might have egg on my face, but I really, really don't hope I get egg on my face. I'm just dead excited about what comes next, because it's been a rough ride, isn't it? You know, if you have to take the rough with the smooth, of course you do. But it's been a tumultuous last 8 years. Look at that. Great use of the word tumultuous. I'm just excited about what can happen to our club if Erik Ten Hag comes in. Because he's just a man that's driven by his standards. I'll go into a little bit of detail inside this article, actually, but seeing as we're speaking about him again now. It's, as I said, by Marcel van der Kraan, sports editor of The Telegraph out in Holland. And he's done a sort of a feature piece on what Manchester United fans can expect from Erik Ten Hag if he becomes boss. And there was a couple of snippets. I might go into it in a bit more detail in a separate video, but I just wanted to speak about these ideas down here with you. Players can, this is what Marcel van der Kraan was saying about Erik Ten Hag. Players can find it hard with him because, like Guardiola, he comes across as a bit obsessive. To get a style like you do at Ajax, it needs lots and lots of work and attacking players. Go down here, his man management is excellent, and all his players say they have learned so much from him. And I thought this was particularly important. Ten Hag will spend an incredible amount of time on the training pitch. He's not scared to take on the Manchester United job, but he will want to be in a tracksuit many hours a day. That's where he'll want a sporting director or an assistant with the ability to do that in terms of constantly being on the phones to agents, in terms of actually directing the sporting direction of the football club. And that's something that Manchester United, we know that, simply put, we don't have that structure in place at this moment in time, right? We don't have that structure in place. I've been going on it for so long. You've been going on it about it for so long. But finally, we're getting a manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was never going to be the manager that came in with a long list of demands. He literally got a call from Fergie, his idol, his dream job. He didn't care what the contract was. He probably didn't care what his salary was. He probably didn't care how many years it was going to be. He just said yes. Immediate, blind yes. Erik Ten Hag is very, very different. Erik Ten Hag is coming into Manchester United, looking at us and going, right, this is what I've got at Ajax. This is what I don't currently have at Manchester United. Change that, and I'll become your manager. That's why I keep going on about Paul Mitchell. I keep going on about it. It's how modern football clubs work. There is no Fergie anymore. There is no Wenger anymore. There will be no manager that stays at a club for 15 plus years and controls all the signings, controls all the training sessions, controls all the tactics. It's just not possible anymore. Football clubs have become too big. The players have become too big. It's very hard to manage players now compared to how you managed players previously. That's why the Fergie model will never exist again. And that's why Manchester United have been stuck in the past for so long, still holding on to those ideals that Fergie built. But Ten Hag is the man that comes in. We talk about false dawns. For me, Ten Hag is the opposite of a false dawn. It's a brand new day when Ten Hag comes in. Because it will, for him to sign that contract means Manchester United have agreed to shift our club, to start genuinely looking at the blueprint. And this really hurts me to say it, but you have to say it. At the blueprint that Liverpool and City have laid out from the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's horrible to say, but it's the complete and utter truth. What they've done right is everything that we've done wrong. And there needs to be lessons learned from that. Because if we don't do it now, and I've said this as well, if we don't do it now, we don't do it with Ten Hag, mate, we are going under. I don't know. We're going much closer to 30 years than we are winning the Premier League again. I'll tell you that. And SkyTube, look, this is why I'm so excited about it. It's why it has to be different with Ten Hag. I don't think the story will be the same with Ten Hag. Look, at the end of it, right, in 3 years' time, we might be having a conversation about Ten Hag being sacked. But I tell you what, Manchester United would have significantly modernised in those 3 years. It might not work out from a footballing perspective, but I think as a club perspective, I think Ten Hag's going to be the man that we want. It's like having the mole that we want inside the corporation, arguing the same sorts of arguments that United fans have been having against the club for so long. Chris, nice to see you down there, buddy. Saying for me, give Ten Hag whatever he wants. We need to commit to this process wholeheartedly. Yeah, man. If we want to win, if we want to step forward and actually, you know what, be a super club again instead of being a joke. We've been the butt of the joke for ages. And hell, as I said, when you win the Premier League, when you win everything for 20 years, you can expect to be the butt of the jokes if you fall from grace. And we did. And Liverpool did. And they were the butt of the joke for a long time. And they recovered because they structured it properly. They got the right people in behind the scenes. Was it Michael Edwards? And then they got Klopp and everything was perfect. With City, They obviously had Guardiola, but they brought in, what is it, Tigiristan from Barcelona. They basically built the Barcelona board. They built the bed for him. He was a perfect manager for it. Manchester United is a bit different, right? We haven't made the bed for Ten Hag. Ten Hag's going to have to come in and build all that structure. But he's the most likely person to get that done at United. And without his appointment, if we went to Poch, I'm not sure that we get that same sort of energy. Chris, Sam, curious question. This feels like a do-or-die situation. If Ten Hag comes in and fails like the others before him, what then? Who's next aboard the train of doom down Glazers Avenue? I don't know. If Ten Hag, as I said, if Ten Hag comes in and fails, I still feel that Manchester United as a football club will be far more modernised than before he came in. I think he'll implement some structures. He'll force change. Whether or not that works, ultimately, we'll find out in the goodness of time. My gut instinct is telling me it will work. My gut instinct is telling me that if Ten Hag comes in, that we've got some good years coming ahead of us. I don't know how far down the line those years are, but I would absolutely trust that process. I really, really would. Let me go down here and read a few of your comments out. Nana watching from Ghana, good morning to you. Do you think that the Glazers, Bernard's asking, do you think the Glazers will give Ten Hag what he wants? You saw the title of my video yesterday. It was Ten Hag versus the Glazers. It's what it feels like it's come down to. It feels like it's come down to a bit of a showdown between Ten Hag and what he's demanding of the club and what the club is used to giving a manager. This is a shift. This is a change. And that shift, Mourinho tried that shift. The club undermined him. Game, set, and match. It was done. Van Gaal, I don't think he was as forceful as Mourinho was, but it didn't work. He got stabbed in the back and sacked after winning the FA Cup final. Ten Hag is where that shift truly has to be in terms of how we operate as a football club. If we don't do it right, and we don't do it right here, tell you, man, that I don't know how we recover off that slope without the Glazers leaving. And I don't think the Glazers are going to be leaving Manchester United until, as I said, they get a ridiculous offer in. I was going to bring this up later in the show, but I may as well bring it up now. I'm sure you've seen it going around on social media. This is from 1958. Is a group of United supporters who are organising a boycott. Not a protest here, but a boycott. And they want to do it for the Norwich game on Saturday. I've reached out to them, trying to speak to them, see who's behind it, what's going on. But if you go back to the James Ducker article from this morning, you can see that is the leading line that he's going with. Manchester United fans are planning a boycott as part of constant and relentless protests against the Glazers' ownership. Because if we're being completely honest, right, what we did, and that's Robin van Persie, that's not it. What we did in the Liverpool game was incredible. It's one of the biggest. It still gives you goosebumps to think about it. The show of fan power there, getting that game against Liverpool cancelled, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the club, football fans around England forced those big greedy six and the owners there to back out of the European Super League. And we were that close to losing our football club. I remember doing videos at the time, man. It was a very, you just felt like you'd have been punching the dick. For want of a better way to describe it. I don't know why I said that. That's what it felt like. But fan power overturned that. And now the 1958 are going to start, hopefully, well, as I said, starting on Saturday. Let's see what goes on. But the idea is to, I think, start March at the Tollgate pub and walk down Warwick. Yeah. So if you want to be involved, check out the 1958 on Twitter. I don't know what their Twitter account is, actually. But I'm trying to reach out to them and speak to them. Any sort of energy like that can be organized correctly and that can have some sort of impact is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And the more of it, the better. Ultimately, what will it change? We're unsure. Hopefully, the best thing we can hope for, I suppose, is that it leads to more conversations being opened, more doors being opened. But that's just bullshit, because Joel Glazer, after the European Super League, had promised so much to Manchester United. And we've had nothing. We haven't even had the share scheme that we were promised before the season started. Don't know. Hey, look, as I said, I'm going to be interacting in the comments plenty this morning. There's loads of what we can still talk about. We're still going to be talking about Darwin Núñez after the reports yesterday from Fabrizio Romano. Going to have a conversation about him. I've told you that I'm holding back on doing too much content on transfers until Ten Hag's over the line. Until we get that deal announced, I think it's a bit of a moot point speaking about new signings when we don't know who our new manager is going to be. That's why I'm holding back on the transfers, because let's be honest, the season's done, right? The season is done. 12th of April, season is, woof, we're not getting top 4 anymore. The Leicester and the Everton games made sure about that. We're out the Champions League. We're out the FA Cup. We're out the League Cup. We're going to finish, I reckon we're going to finish 6th. 7th? 6th or 7th? Don't know. Gungshin, I see down there in the comments, my friend. You can't blame the Glazers, says Jeffrey. I've never thought I'd see that sentence on United People's TV. It's the players that's not putting together. The Glazers backed every manager. I think too many people making English players to be this and that and getting robbed. Don't know why we buy English players. Bring the youth through and don't buy English players. Always well overpriced. I mean, jumping to a lot of assumptions there with that comment there, Jeffrey. I can fucking blame the Glazers and I will blame the Glazers. There's no point giving $1 billion to Ed Woodward. Case in point, proven. There's no point spending money without a plan, spending money without a strategy. You end up in a situation where you've got a squad now that's been built by 3 different managers who all play football completely differently, and therefore this squad is not working properly together. So you're damn right I can blame the Glazers. Absolutely. James, I see you down in the comments there, buddy. You're saying, in my opinion, this might be a pivotal point, albeit late. Hiring Ralph Rangnick, then Erik Ten Hag resurrect the club from the laughing stock due to the inept stranglehold of the deadhead. Business first mentality and the greed from the ruins. Hey, some of the prophetic statement there, but it's exactly, James, that's exactly why I was so excited about Ralph Rangnick and why I still remain excited about Ralph Rangnick, because I wasn't excited. I wasn't like over the moon at the idea that we could be playing gegenpressing football 4-2-2. I was looking. The football was irrelevant. Irrelevant is the wrong word. The football for me wasn't the main reason I was excited about Rangnick. It was what he could do next after, and the conversations that he can steer and lead. That's what they're the sorts of voices that we don't have at the club. Didn't have at the club before Ralph Rangnick came in, and I hope, and I absolutely stand by that hope that Ralph Rangnick goes in and is actually consulted properly, has some sort of say and power, and that we get Paul Mitchell in, and that we can let him lead the recruitment properly for a few years, and then we get Ten Hag in, and then we let them all work together. John Murtough, none of us can say that John Murtough has been shit at his job or good at his job because we don't know, all right? In the same way that we don't know what goes on the training pitch and we don't know what the blah, blah, blah. We can make assumptions, but let's see what goes on next. And the idea, when John Murtough was brought in, that was Manchester United taking 1 foot towards, right, okay, this is the direction we need to head in. We need a football director. Let's bring him in. Was he the right or wrong man? Still undecided. But we need support. It's not just about one voice and one person. That's why the idea of Murtough and Rangnick and Ten Hag and Mitchell, that should excite people way more than the idea of signing someone like Darwin Núñez, signing someone like Erling Haaland. Manchester United's problems right now, of course they exist on the pitch. And of course we need new players and new signings. But it's behind the scenes. When the conditions are not correct off the pitch, they're reflected on the pitch. It's just the case. It's just simple. Players are symptomatic of what's going on at their club. If the club's in turmoil behind the scenes, can you really expect to be the squad and the players to be anything but turmoil on the pitch? I don't personally think so anyway. Rahman, you're saying Murtough is a joke. As I said, there's no proof whether that's correct or wrong. You can make assumptions about it, but let's find out. Look, not to contradict myself here, but as I said, this came out yesterday from Fabrizio Romano on Darwin Núñez, saying that he's leaving Benfica in the summer around 80 million euros. So we're talking about expensive signings. It'll be a very expensive signing. And Benfica and Porto, they've got a history of it. They're going to keep doing it. They sell players at big profit and they replace them. That's their business model and it works for them. Whether it's João Felix going to Atletico Madrid or Angel Di Maria or Fabio Contrao, remember that from Benfica too? Victor Lindelof is another one. Geez, Nicolas Gaitan. Didn't get him. But for a player who's been banging in the goals left, right and centre, do you think that Darwin Núñez is the right sort of man for Manchester United? As I said, one quick look at his stats over here. Really banging in the goals. In 9 Champions League appearances, got 5 goals in his debut campaign. And of course, he's got his second leg, I believe, is it tonight or tomorrow night? Scored 1 against Liverpool. Liverpool probably going through, but he scored 24 goals in 24 appearances in the Portuguese league, though. They are some serious numbers from a player who really is looking like the real deal. 22, the sort of profile that Manchester United need to be signing. A young player with real quality and talent, but somebody who can still grow and get better and better and better. Let me see what you think about this down in the comment. cheaper than Kane and a lot younger, keener to learn under Erik Ten Hag. Look, I've had arguments with mates about Harry Kane, and Harry Kane would be an incredible signing for Manchester United. But I just think if we go and spend the amount of money that we need to spend to sign Harry Kane, we wouldn't do what we need to do in this summer transfer window. Chris, you're saying Ten Hag and Ranić will be a better combination moving forward than anything we have had in a long time. I think we'll see a massive change. Just hope it transfers to performances on the pitch. I think it would. And of course, we keep talking about the brilliance of Fergie, but no one's, I suppose everyone has talked about him, but David Gill, it was a huge part of that whole situation that allowed Fergie to be the manager he was. Erik Bailly too. Yeah, good point. And you're saying you want Nunes, Nkunku, and Tchouaméni. Personally, great talent, high ceilings, young, versatile, positionally. Very nice. So you don't want any English players in the team. What you're trying to say? No, I wasn't saying that. Look, there is no xenophobia here. There's no preference to any nationality whatsoever. You can be English. You can be from Gambia. You can be. It doesn't fucking matter. It matters zero what nationality a player is. Manchester United. It's more about the mindset, the makeup of the player. Are they used to hard work? Are they used to grafting? Are they used to working as part of a team? Yes. And then coming to Manchester United, it doesn't fucking matter where you're from at all. But Manchester United, if we're an English club, funny that our core has been English for a long time because we're an English club. It's almost like if you go to Germany, the core of their team has probably been German the whole time. Not sure though. Lars, you're saying Ajax have huge problems in defensive transitions. What do you think will Erik Ten Hag will do to address that problem with United? I'm worried about that part of Erik Ten Hag. When it comes to defensive transitions at Manchester United, it's got to be probably the worst thing that United do. Playing out from the back with the ball. It's horrendous to watch us. From David De Gea, Harry Maguire loves his hospital passes, under-hit passes that a player then has to reach for, and it allows an attacker to sort of press. We're just crap at passing out from the back with the ball. And also, we don't ever really have the midfielders who are able and capable to drop deep, receive it in pressure situations at the edge of the box, and play through that pressure. We just don't have the players capable of doing it. So I don't know how he's going to do that, but that has to be something that's solved with new faces. Someone like Jurrien Timber, who we know is a very, very, very comfortable centre-back when it comes to possession and ball at his feet and progressive passes. That's what he's very good at. Varane, he played that sort of system at Madrid. Harry Maguire can play that system, but he's just, I think I'm just a bit done with Harry Maguire. I really is. Sam, have you been on holiday? Using Factor 80. Where's the tap, mate? I tell you what, Ibiza, it wasn't that hot. It was like 16, 17 degrees. I'm a little bit, my lights don't help me. I need to de-white myself. De-white myself? Probably a bad way to describe that. Just they're a bit bright. Maybe I need to turn them down a little bit. You got a comment here from Danny saying, Sam, what players do you want to bring in? As I said, I'm going to be holding back on doing my videos on transfers until Erik Ten Hag is announced. Once he's announced, baby, we can start having all these conversations about defensive transitions and how is he going to fix that at Manchester United and what players do we need to bring in, what midfielders, what strikers, what formation, what are the tactics. We're having all those conversations, all right? But at this moment in time, I just think it's a bit of a moot point until we get it announced. As I said, for anybody who's just joining in, welcome to United People's TV. After a few days off, back with the live streams every morning. Please drop a like on the video if you are new and make sure you subscribe to United People's TV. Or if you'd like to support the channel, become a member. There's a link in the description on YouTube and on Facebook. We'd love to have you as part of the family. And there's access to a private WhatsApp group. And there's some good members-only content coming soon. I know I have promised that for a while, but genuinely, I'm working on it. I told you, and anything that comes into the channel, supporting the channel, I put back in. So I've got a new computer I'm going to be installing this week as well. We've got a new camera on the way too. I'm trying to take the quality really up a notch. Going to be bringing in a couple of people into United People's TV working with me. That's all because of you. You make it possible. So thank you very much. But as I say, anything that you do put into the channel, I do put it back in. I don't just say that. Anthony, you're saying, when do you think it will be announced with confirmation of Ten Hag? Hopefully this week. Hopefully after this cup final. PSV playing Ajax on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Regardless, hopefully we'll see Ajax win that game. Hopefully we'll see Ten Hag holding that trophy and set Ajax up for their third domestic double. But nothing should be happening probably before then. Let's see what happens after. Vitterbird saying, can't see the link for the WhatsApp group. Just saying, Vitterbird, if you go into the community tab on YouTube, there's a post there for members only. There's a link to the WhatsApp group there. Any background upgrades, says Yogi. Let's find out. Let's see what goes on next. It's quite hard to change this background too much because, you know, it's just there. But look, thank you very much for everyone for joining in this morning. It's happy to be back. I enjoyed the few days break, but I do miss the community here. So thank you very much for joining in. I'll be here tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. as I always am. I'll be back a little bit later today. I think I might do a video on Gary Neville's comments about Ten Hag and the warnings for him because he's right in doing it. Is he right to say it in public? Not sure. We'll have a conversation about that in the comments. I'm keeping that sweet Dutch energy on the wall there until we've got a Dutchie in. But look, thank you very much for joining in this morning. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like on the video, and I'll speak to you soon. Take it easy, everyone.